All right, folks, it says we're live. Let's do this. There you are. Welcome to another episode of Mañana No Más. Folks, I wanted to come to you guys live today, and I wanted to share with you basically what it looks like to do a WordPress startup from scratch. Now, this is an extension of what I started earlier in the week, and I promised you guys that I would come to you more and more live with tutorial type information. And the way that I'm addressing this little mini series of lives is WordPress basics for business. Folks, I just want to encourage you. I think now more than ever, we're seeing layoffs at just an unrestrained area, right? So we saw, major company last week put out and said, 8,000 layoffs. And then just 2 days later, you see 3,000 more layoffs announced, right? You got the Google layoffs, the Facebook layoffs. Everyone's talking about how Twitter's operating at 20% of what it had at the beginning when Elon Musk took over. And so when we see layoff after layoff after layoff, we have to ask ourselves, how are we branding ourselves? How are we moving forward from an entrepreneur mindset to how are you going to fill the gap if the layoff comes your way? And if you've already been laid off, you might be saying, well, I got this as a severance package, or I've got, this much savings in my 401k. And when you watch shows like Shark Tank, you see people say, I'll give you 5% of my company for $300,000 investment. And they say, well, where's that money going to go? And then someone will say, well, we need a website and website development and all. And then, one of the sharks will go, oh, that could run you $200,000. And when you hear these numbers, you think, I don't know if I can do this. So folks, I wanted to go over WordPress basics for business. And this is meant to just be an inspiration piece. It's meant to say, hey, what if, hold on. The pleasures of going live, right? Can't hide that sneeze. Maybe I can get it and post edit for a replay. But what I was talking about was maybe there's some inspiration. Maybe there's something I can show you here that says, oh, wait a minute. I can work on time, under budget, and make a good representation of my idea or how I see my project taking shape. So I wanted to do this with you guys. Now, I'm going to change the music because it's driving me nuts. So I'm going to move that down a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to lower the volume on it a little bit too. So some people like volume in the back, music in the background. Some people hate it. And what I'm finding is we can compromise and make almost everybody happy if I have a little bit of music and a little bit of volume. All right. So folks, I'm going to cue this up for you two different ways. One is, Mañana No Más does offer hosting. And so I wanted to show you the back end of what hosting looks like in our 20i reseller account. And if I wanted to make another website, it's as simple as clicking add hosting and then choose whether, what kind of hosting package I want and what kind of a domain name I want. So what I'm going to put in here is I'm going to put live, I'm going to say livesample.com. right? And I'm going to say, boom, I'm going to enter that. And then I'm going to go over to, I can pick a normal hosting package, or I can say a WordPress hosting package. So I'm going to say a WordPress hosting package based in the United States. I'm going to do WordPress with Mañana No Más. So it's automatically going to build that for me. And then let's go up here. Let's do podcastwp.com. Why not? Okay. And then that gives us a hosting package. So what's happening now is the server is in the background and it's creating the hosting package. It's doing the DNS settings, which is a fancy way of saying it's putting the stripes in for the parking spot, inside that parking garage to host a website. So it's doing that. And then it will open up and give me the ability to add WordPress directly to that parking spot. And so the next screen that pops up is going to be like the hosting environment for that particular website and the options that go in with that. Now, in our earlier live, I had told you guys about how some hosting packages come with like control panels, and they're much more visual. They kind of show somebody how something is working. In fact, what I'll do here is I'll open up a new tab and we'll take a look at, just to be transparent, we'll take a look at one of my sites called Action Leadership Team. So if I click manage here, there we go. What you're going to see, and the other tab, of course, is processing right now. So we'll see this populate here as well, right? But here you'll see this is in actionleadershipteam.com. So this is the caching and the statistics and things like that, the files that make the website and the things in there that have to be taken care of, how to take care of email, because the hosting that I provide to my clients gives people the ability to host their own email, which is a really big deal, because a lot of like WordPress managed hosting, you have to put your email in like Gmail or Gmail for Business or something like that. And so I've got email services right through my host. I've got different web tools, right? So how to manage the PHP files and things like that, how to change the PHP version. That's important when you're working in WordPress. And so my customers have access to all of this stuff when they're setting up their sites. Plus, there's all these one-click installations for all these different types of tools that you could put in as subdomains or things like that, like BuddyPress, for example. BuddyPress is a social tool that you can add to WordPress, and it gives you things like forums and different ways for users to communicate with each other in groups and things like that. So it's pretty cool. Okay, so if we were to go back to this page, it's going to say we were on we were on Podcast WP is what we just set up. And so if we go to that and manage that screen, here we come. It's coming any second now. Come on, sweet soul sister. All right, well, it would show us how to install WordPress. And I'm going to give it one more shot here. I'm going to hope that that's still thinking. All right. So that's working in the host that I give my clients. Now, Cloudways is another option that I had talked about earlier in the week. Now, I don't have to worry about showing you the back end of this account because this account's getting closed this week. So I'm going to go ahead and show you kind of around a tour of how Cloudways works, because some people get in here and go, oh, this is more involved than I want it to be, right? And when that happens, it just takes the whole experience down a different path. And so here you've got servers. So what you can do is you can add a server for different projects. So if you have more than one website, you could add a server for each of those, or you can add applications to existing servers. And then you have to say, well, what's an application? Well, an application is a WordPress instance. So Cloudways is like a WordPress managed host, right? And so when I say add an application, it's going to say, do you want to add WordPress or WordPress multi-site? And so for the sake of this live, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an application to my existing server, okay, instead of making a new server. So if I go to applications, it's going to show up a website that I had made for a client, but I'm going to say add application, and then it's going to say select the server, and I pick the one that I already have in existence, okay? And then I add the application. Now, when I go to add the application, it's going to say, what do you want to do? Do you want to do WordPress? What version of WordPress? And do you want to have a multi-site or a regular site? Or do you want to have a clean installation, so no Cloudways stuff? So different hosts will put different things in their WordPress installations. For example, Cloudways is going to install Breeze, which is a caching tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Cloudways version of WordPress 6.11, and I'm going to install that directly into my application. Now I need to name it. So I'm going to say here that, this is going to be my live sample. Okay, because I'm making this for you guys as a live, and we're going to add that application right there. Now, what Cloudways does is it instantly makes, makes a WordPress instance of a website. It takes a couple of minutes, as you see here. So it automatically makes a WordPress instance of a website in a sandbox. So it'll have a temporary URL that you can go to, and you can build your whole website out if you want on that temporary URL. And then when you have your URL that you want to bring to that website, then there's settings inside the server that allow you to point that file on the temporary server, temporary application, allow you to point that temporary application to the URL that you have registered somewhere else. So are you starting to see why I took my clients over to my own hosted example? Because if you looked at my own hosted example, you could pick your own URL, you could buy your URL right there on the website, and you could select your hosting and set up your site right away. Now, they all take time to set up. So you see, like, this server is doing the same as my server was doing, right? It is going through and it's setting up those DNS files that I had told you about. It's setting up those settings, it's adding WordPress, and it's building that stuff in the background. And so if we go back to this page and we refresh, we might see a working example of that, or we can go back to look at what I had showed you before as a sample on actionleadershipteam.com, and you can see the way that that is built out. Okay. In my server, if I want to see the temporary URL, I have a temporary address right here, so I can view the temporary URL. But if I already have it assigned to a URL, then I can see the primary domain right here. Okay. In Cloudways, let's see, we've got 1 minute left to go. So in Cloudways, there are settings. There's going to be a main work area inside the server that we'll see for each application. And just to the side of that, you'll see a menu that'll give us the options, right? And that's where we can add the domain and be like that. Okay. So we're getting there. We are almost there. The fun of doing things live. Okay. Now, part of what I wanted to go through in today's live is going to be, what do you do with a fresh WordPress installation? Remember, this is WordPress basics for business, right? And so we have to think about our use case. We talked a lot at the beginning of the week about use case. So are we making a blogging site? Are we making an e-learning site? Are we making an e-commerce website? Are we making am I a doctor and I want to be able to offer appointments? Like, these are the things that we need to think about when we are thinking of the use case for our website. And so in this instance, I'm going to start out by just making a simple website. In fact, I'm going to go with Yoga Studio. How do you guys feel about doing a quick yoga studio website? We'll do that, and we'll do this with Astra. Astra is a theme, and within that theme, we will use a starter website that'll give us that option. So here we see we've got our two applications now, right? And when I open this up, see the live sample that's right there? That's going to open up, and that's going to give us these access details. Now, remember I said down the side is the options in dealing with that application, right? So if we wanted to have a staging website, we can make a staging website. If we wanted to assign the domain that we would buy for this website, we would assign that domain through this page right here, right? Cron job management. Cron is one of those things that confuses people all over the place. Cron is like the timing of how messages or interactions happen within a website. And so if you had like a CRM, a customer resource management tool, plugged into the back of your website, you would want to have a cron job set up so that it would periodically ping out and make updates. SSL certificate, that deals with security. Once you have your URL pointed to the website, you can put a Let's Encrypt on it. It's a free way to add the website security. If you look at my screen, see at the top here where the URL is, and see this little lock that's right here? That lock is showing us that this website has security, right? It has an SSL certificate. That's the same thing that you're doing here. So that's how you get that free lock, okay? Backup and restore. This is how you can take images of your existing website as a backup, and then you will be able to take a backup or restore an existing backup. So if you were to have a problem with your website down the road, you just go to your backups, you find your most recent backup, and you restore it, and then put your website back up for you. Okay. Application settings. This is a big one for, like, for instance, if I were to take a look at, let's go in here for PHP FPM settings. Maybe I need to make some changes for my PFP. Maybe I need to take care of the way that my website is cached. In here for general, you can take a look at different things that you can reset here, different redirections, application access. You know, do you redirect for a secure website? If someone puts in HTTP, does it automatically redirect for HTTPS, right? And so that's one of the things that you can fix right there. Migration tools is if you already have a website somewhere else and you want to bring it to Cloudways, you go ahead and do the WordPress migration this way. And then Cloudways does interact with Cloudflare. Cloudflare is another subject altogether that talks about how to manage and optimize a website once you have made one. Okay, so let's go back to the access details. And here we are again, we're in Cloudways. We already have WordPress installed. So here's the email address that we're using on this account. And this right here is the password. So I'm going to click and copy that. And then I'm going to click right here. And that's going to open up the admin panel access for us on that. Okay. Now right in here, I'm going to put that email address, ith@mañananomas. That was the email address that we had used in the server. And then I'm going to paste that password right in, and we're going to log in to this website. Now, I'm not going to save the password because we're just doing this as a sample. Okay. And so if we take a look here, here's that temporary URL, right? Because we didn't assign a real URL to this yet. Here's Breeze. Remember I said there was a caching plugin that Cloudways put in? There it is right there for us. Okay. And if we click here to visit this website, we're going to see that this is just a really plain blank WordPress website. And if we were to go to the dashboard, see where it says updates, there's always updates, it seems like anymore, right? So we're running version 6.2. We have the latest version of WordPress. We've got a couple of plugins that we can go ahead and update already, right? So that's going to be the anti-spam that we've gotten there, and then a security plugin. So Malcare is a security plugin. A lot of sites run that. And so we've got that updated. So that's complete. Now let's see what other updates we have. This will be with themes, no doubt. So here we go. The 2021, the 2023, and the 2022 all have updates. So let's go ahead and update that. And then you could remove the themes that you're not using, which is a best practice. But what I want to do is I want to go ahead and add a theme. So let's do here, add new, and we're going to add Astra. Astra is one of the most popular themes out there. Astra, Cadence, they're both real popular. Divi's one that you'll hear about periodically. Now, Divi has its own page builder associated with it. So if Divi is not your thing, if you don't want to learn a new page builder, then I would say, hold off on that. But let's install Astra. And this is easy. See, I just say install, and then I'm going to say activate. And if we want to see the site, we can visit the site here, or we can go back right here to visit the site. So now if we visit the site, it has adopted some of the theme characteristics, but you'll notice there's really no content here yet, right? So let's go back to our dashboard. And one of the things I like to do, if I'm using Astra, right? So if I'm using Astra, I can go to Astra's dashboard, and it's going to say, welcome to Astra, settings, starter templates, free versus pro. Well, let's see what kind of starter templates we have available. So let's install and activate the starter templates. It says it's activated. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. We don't have to learn more just now because I'm here, right? I'm teaching you. And so it opens up with an introductory video that says getting started with starter templates, but we want to build our website now. Now, there's different ways to build in WordPress. There is Beaver Builder, there's Elementor, and there's the block editor. The block editor is also referred to as Gutenberg. I mentioned that earlier in the week on our earlier live. So for the purpose of this demonstration, I want to keep things as simple, as clean, and as streamlined as possible. So I want to use the stock block editor directly from WordPress in Gutenberg, okay? And then I said that we would do maybe a yoga site. If you look on this, you're going to see all these templates. And what's cool about this is we can select almost any of these templates. Now, there are some pro versions, right? But if we go through these templates, we're going to come across one that's going to be more fitness oriented. Like the party planner could be a fitness oriented one, right? See how bright that is? You could change the pictures and you could put something in there. We go through all of that. Let me see if I can just find it quickly. There's one that was really cool about a gym. It was all black. Here we go. Here's yoga, right? So let's say yoga instructor. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click that. And what's cool about selecting a starter site template is see how it comes up with a logo right here, but I can update and change my logo and I can change the width of it, right? So I'm going to click here and I'm going to say upload. Now you guys probably won't be able to see my files pop up, but I'm going to go into my Mañana No Mas external drive and I'm going to find my graphics package and constant use business stuff. And I'm just going to put some Mañana No Mas material in here. Okay. So I'm going to put the first, here we go, drop files right in. So I dropped one of the logos in for Mañana No Mas. And I'm going to say select that. It's going to pop up there and you see it changed it right here. Now, if I want to change the width of it, I can adjust it right here in the customizer, right? So now I've got Mañana No Mas and I'll put it at like 200 is good. See where it says 200? I'll say 200 is good and see how my menu's right here and I've got the pages here, right? How nice is that? But let's stick with the customizer because we're still setting up this template in the customizer. So we're going to say continue. Now it's going to ask me about colors. So do I like the colors that came with it, with this kind of button and stuff like that? Or do I want to go more with yellow or green? Or, do I want blue, right? So what's my target market? What colors match, my target market? Yellow leads to trustworthiness. Red is a sense of urgency. Blue is a sense of peace. And so I think about yoga and I think about what I'm doing and I'll say, okay, well, let's go with this baby blue color because that's a sense of peace. Now I can change my fonts. Do I want to do, something that is more playful or something that's more bold or something that's more direct? I'm a kind of a direct person. And see how when you click on these options, you can see what it does to the page, right? And so I actually kind of like the condensed version a little bit, right? I'm a little more modern that way. So now this asks us for information. I'm going to put my information in here. Why? Because you folks are watching this and you probably already know who I am. So I'm going to turn off. I just hit caps lock. My work email is kurt@mañananomas.com. Okay. Dang it, I am an expert. How about that? And I'm building a website for myself and my company. I agree to receive newsletters and accept that. I click that before I get all kinds of stuff. Okay. Now, do I want to import the customizer settings? Yes. Do I want to import widgets? Those are the extra things in the website that give it some functionality that come with this template. So I'm going to say yes. Do I want to install the required plugins? I'm going to say yes. So like a required plugin, they might be using Gravity Forms for something in this template, and I might normally use WP Forms. But in order for the template to be fully functional, I'm going to download all of the plugins, and then if I choose to swap stuff out later, I can do that. Import the content. This to me is important. You could select no here, and you could put an empty template in your page. But what good is an empty template? The reason I'm picking a template is because I kind of want the template to kind of show me as a beginner, where does my content go, right? How much content do I need for an about me page? What, should I put a picture in or not? Should I? And by having a template, it'll show me this is where you put pictures. This is where you put content. So I'm going to import the content and then share non-sensitive data. I always do that because it helps the people that produce these products make better products for us. So I'm going to say submit and build my site. Now, if you take a look here, it's telling us exactly what the process is and what it's doing. So it's installing the required name, the plugin, the forms. It's doing all that. It's importing Spectra. Spectra is part of the block editing editions that Astra gives you for the Gutenberg editing environment. And it's going through a lot of this process here. Okay. So remember, we are currently building a sample website on Cloudways where we pre-installed just the basic version of WordPress. So we had a blank slate. We didn't have, a website to play with. We went from scratch. And so pretty quickly here, I'm 26 minutes into this live, and within 26 minutes, we have a server, WordPress installed, and we have a sample website that is in, right? Now, if we want to click and share the tweet, we can. The website is live. Let's go ahead and do that. Here's the website that we just put on the internet. So if we take a look at this, this is already done, right? It's already here. So this gives you a really good idea as a beginner. Again, I'm focusing on, WordPress basics for business. So, if I was somebody that worked at a corporate office, but I was a part-time yoga instructor and I was thinking about starting my own studio, boom, I would load up this template and I would be all over it. Now, see here where it says edit page. Now's the cool part. We can go in here because we have content, because we can see where things kind of go. We can go in here and we can say edit the page. Okay, going to get some welcome screens. This is the back end of WordPress. This is what it looks like when you go to edit something in WordPress. And WordPress is all based on blocks. So if I click on something, see how it has like a big square around it that gets highlighted? That's one of the blocks. And then these are the, quick settings, right? This is the quick edit settings for the block. And then typically you're going to see an expanded selection of settings off on the right-hand side. So that's where I can see what's in the block, how the block is styled, and some advanced settings if that were to be necessary for the block, right? So does it show up on desktop, tablet, phone, things like that? Because you can customize all of that. So if you wanted to have an intricate website on a desktop, you could leave everything on. But if you wanted to make the display cleaner on mobile, right, make it much more simple on mobile, you could take some of those items out if you wanted to, right? So I'm going to leave everything turned on. And let's say I want to change, this picture here. So I take a look at this block because now I just highlighted this block, right? And I can go down here to container and I can take a look at what's in the container. I can make adjustments to what's in it, style. Here's the picture that we can change. If I wanted to make, and so by the way, when you download the template, you get all of these other pictures, right? So let's say I want to put this picture up instead. So I select that, and you can see it doesn't align very well with the text or anything like that. So maybe I want to move this and center this, or maybe I want to make this right justified and put it down at the bottom of the picture. Or maybe I want to add a new picture, right? So I can go to upload files. I'll go back to a folder that I have, and I'm just going to take this header picture that Timothy at Giver Marketing gave me once, and I'm just going to pop that in. Okay, so that just gives you an idea of what's happening there. Now, if we take a look at the side here on the right, it says, change the image position, default, or do I want to customize it? Do I want to move that picture around a little bit? I can move things around. I can take a look at the size. I can say repeat or make it a tile setting. I can, we say it's a cover image here. I can make it contained, so I can make it smaller. I can do custom sizes. I can do auto, but I'm going to leave it as a cover. Okay. And so if we take a look at that, if I wanted to see what that looks like, having changed that picture, remember, what you see in the editing screen isn't always what you see on the front end of the website. And so if I click preview and I click desktop and I click preview in a new tab, that's going to open up a new tab for us. And this is what we have so far. Okay. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, design-wise, this looks horrible, but you're seeing how to make those changes that I'm talking about, right? So I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm going to go back over to here. And as we update things, it locks it in. Okay. So I didn't save this yet. I could go back, or I could change things around some. So if I say image position default, that moves that image back, right? Now I'm going to do preview again, because remember we had a custom location. And now you see it looks a whole lot better because I went back to the default position of that image. So now the trick is, with a template, you want to start going through, and let's go ahead and close this and let's update this. Whenever you work on a page inside the site, it's always best practice to hit update frequently and make sure that you keep things updated. All right, I'm going to go back to the front end of the website. And now we have a home, about me, classes, publications, and get fit. So if I click on the about me, it's going to go to the about me page. And then I can click and make any adjustments to this that I need to make, section by section by section. Now, this page, you see how it has these kind of static, sticky images in the back, right? And so when you first click on edit page, it's going to come up in a different way, a different format. And so when we start looking at this, you're like, well, then how do I change that? How do I get from this image to something else? Well, here's a trick for you in the block editor that a lot of people have a hard time identifying with. So I want to make sure I'm clear about this. You see this little menu right here? When I click this document overview, it gives me all of the containers that are within the page. And as I click these little carrots, they open up and it shows me what's in there. Now see how I can highlight? See how info box here lights up about me, and info box here lights up my way of health and life, right? So now I can go here and I can look at this container. This container shows me the words. If I expand it, I get the info box and the social share. So if I want to edit the social share, I can go into any of these elements now and see how they're highlighting across the bottom right there. I can go ahead and I can edit those directly either in the image or over here on the side. Okay. And then I can keep working my way down until I find what it is that I'm looking to change. Right. And so here we have 3 info boxes lining up. So look at here. Here's going to be 3 info boxes lining up. Right. Boom. There they are. So by using this outline menu, we're able to go into the different elements of the site, find the things that we want to change, and change them. Now, yes, it is possible to kind of fly around and click on things. See, if I click on stuff, it's going to highlight it, and then I'm going to be able to, replace or make changes or move it. I can totally do that. But if I'm clicking around and I'm unable to select what it is I wanted to change, for instance, let's say that I want to change that red symbol back there, but when I'm highlighting around, I seem to keep landing on this text. Okay. So let's say I keep landing on this text and it's saying, yeah, I can change the text, but how do I change that red icon? Let's say for some reason I click there and it's just not highlighting that. Well, if I go through the outline, I'm able to segment it and find it over on the right so that I can change that image, right? So you can see right there, I can change that image. So if I wanted to change that, I could put that little person behind there. And now I've got a little person behind there. Now I can go in and be different. And I can say, okay, now how do I want to change? Do I want to change whether it's when you hover over it? Do I want to change the opacity of it? Do I want to, take care of the style of that? Do I want to put a radius around it? So this is a transparent image that has a transparent background. But if I were to put in a regular square photo, I can put a radius around and take the corners out of it, right? It's all cool stuff. So I just hit Control Z to kind of take that back. Control Z is a real common keyboard combination so that you can undo changes. Now I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to click update just because I like to save anything that I may have adjusted or touched. And I'm going to go back to my dashboard. Now, here's a thing that I want to show you in the dashboard. Two things. One, I'm going to show you how to create a page. And the second thing I want to do is I want to show you how to attach that page to the menu. Okay. Now, full disclosure, this is changing over time. Okay. So the new full site editor, if you have a fully compliant full site editor block theme, you do things a little bit differently. But for the sake of argument, that's still all just now rolling out. And so I'm going to show you the most common way to do these two things. So pages, I'm going to say add new. Okay. So that's going to give us a new blank page. And in here, I'm going to say sample page. Actually, I should probably say sample page for live, because I think there's already another one that says sample page. Now, what's cool about this is in this sample page, I can click the plus button here and I can add any series of elements that I want. I can add, well, let's just add some pictures in, right? So let's go, we'll put this chick in, boom. All right, so she's in. Let's say that I want to center it. So maybe I want to go align center. Okay, below that, boom. Now notice when I click on her image to set it in position, it gives me the option to open up more. Okay, and then these blocks here, this is just the most commonly used blocks. If I select browse all, I get all of these to choose from. And Spectra is a expanded menu of blocks. So if you install Astra, you also get Spectra. So Spectra is a expanded version of blocks. Patterns is like combinations of blocks. And so if I stick with blocks here, and there's one that I like to use, it's, well, these are common, right? Image galleries are common, but there's one that is, it's a combination of media and text. Here it is, media and text. So I'm going to click media and text and see how it splits my page. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select a picture from the media library. And I'll just pick my logo because it's easy for me. Okay. And then over here, content, right? So now I get to type in content. So this is text and media. So I'm going to say, mañana no más is the bomb giggity. Okay. So do I want that as regular text or do I want that as something else? So if I click here, this is paragraph, right? So right here tells me it's normal text for a paragraph, but if I click on that, I can convert it to a heading. Let me try that again. Talking and clicking, slow down, slow down, slow down, slow down. There we go. Is the bomb giggity. And let's say I want to center that. There we go. And center. And let's say I want to make it smaller so it fits on one line. I could do that. I could make it bigger so it kind of competes with that. Also, let's pick this whole thing. See how I have this whole thing here? You'll notice that all of a sudden we seem to be in a full page, don't we? So let's go here. Let's click this, and this gives us our settings back. And if we take a look at this, we're in this whole block, and I'll say, okay, in the block, these are the settings, and these are the styles. Let's say I want to give it a background shade of light gray. So now let's go ahead and publish that. This is our new page, right? We started a page from scratch. And now I'm going to go ahead and view that page. So you can see what we put together here real quickly. We've got the title of our page, the image we put in place, and then our media and text block that we put in place. Now we could go on and on and on and just keep adding more and more stuff to this page. But I want to get you through this tutorial. So A, you can add as many pages as you want. B, you can link the pages any way that you choose. Okay, so not everything needs to be in that top menu. But let's go ahead and take a look at the menu. So see where it says appearance here on the left-hand side? I'm going to click menus. And I just want to get, so real quick, it says edit your menu below or create a new menu. You can have as many menus as you want inside your website. You can have a header menu, a footer menu, a sidebar menu. You can call them whatever you want, okay? In this site, we've got a primary menu, and this is what we saw up top, right? Home, about me, classes, publications, and get fit. But here's that page we just made, sample page for live. Remember, we just made that page. All I do is click add to menu, comes up right there. I'm going to save the menu. Always remember to save, right? So I save the menu, okay? And then when I go back to view the website, sample page for live is now connected to the menu, okay? Now remember, I can link that page any way I want throughout the website. So I could put it anywhere, but that's the main way that you start building your site. Now in our coming WordPress Basics for Business, we're going to start getting into a little bit more strategy, if you will, about what a tech stack looks like. We talked about the tech stack in our first episode at the beginning of the week, and tech stacks deal with plugins, talks to us about what's actually given us the functionality of our website. So in this website, we've got anti-spam, bot protection, it's Breeze for caching, Spectra, told you about, came with the it's one of the page builder add-ons through Astra. Starter templates is where we just got the template for the site. And we put WP Forms Lite in. I believe that probably got added when we put in the template. Remember I said when you add the template, it'll add additional tools that might be needed to make that template function the way that it's supposed to function. Now, what's really cool about this is if you think about this from a Basics for Business perspective, in just over half an hour, we created space on a server. We installed WordPress. Let me go ahead and go back to this, and I'll remove this real quick. So we reserved space on a server. We installed WordPress. We installed a theme. We put a template in place, and we've already begun to modify and edit that template to fit our specific needs. Okay. So for me, that's totally cool, right? If you are new to the internet, if you're new to WordPress, you might have been looking at, Wix or Google Website Builder, not Google Website Builder, GoDaddy, right? GoDaddy Website Builder. I actually have a customer right now that I'm converting from a GoDaddy Website Builder website to a WordPress website. With WordPress, you have ownership, right? So when her website's on GoDaddy, and so even if she had a WordPress site on GoDaddy, if she had WordPress on GoDaddy, she could take a copy of it, one of those backups I showed you about. She could take that backup and she could move it to any other server that she would want, and the website would function appropriately. When you are on somebody else's, proprietary web builder, you're kind of stuck in their structure. You're stuck renting the same parking spot from them for as long as they want to rent it to you. And sometimes you don't get all the functionality that you want with that kind of a project. So if you want ownership of your content and you want the flexibility of tools and you want the added flexibility of being able to move it, because you have ownership of it, you can move it and put it where you want it, then you definitely want to consider using WordPress. And like I say, in a WordPress, Basics for Business type frame set, I think today's little session was a really big win, because I'm trying to make it easy for folks to say, here's how you rent your parking space. This is where you build out your product, and this is how you modify the product. We covered that today. So if you get a chance, if you enjoyed the presentation today, I encourage you to share it with friends, share it with coworkers. I didn't see a lot of comments rolling in, so please know in the future as we roll the series out, I welcome comments. I love to talk to people on the fly. Make sure people are confident. If something I've done today has you thinking to yourself, man, I really want to work with Kurt. A, thank you. And B, totally doable. You can reach me on LinkedIn. I'm the only Kurt Von Onen on LinkedIn. So you can reach me on LinkedIn, hit me up, we'll connect. From that connection, we will go ahead and schedule an icebreaker call. We'll kind of do a needs assessment, figure out what it is that you really, really, really want to do. In some cases, you just need a hosting account. $35 a month, you're good to go. $55 a month for a different hosting account with different packages or tools included. Maybe you have a really big project, like you can do it yourself, but you want access to a ton of tools. Well, I've got another hosting friend that has an awesome package. So over at WP Tonic with Jonathan Denwood, in his hosting environment, you get access to the hosting and then just a litany of plugins and licensing to use those plugins. So remember, a lot of plugins aren't free. They come with different licensing fees. And so like in the WP Tonic example, if you wanted to have a customer resource management tool, e-learning, an integrated shopping cart, some automation tools, all of that can be built while hosting on WP Tonic, and you're going to spend about $55 a month. Now, in a do-it-yourself situation, that's a wonderful use of budgeting. However, some folks will find that they want some help. And what's really cool about whether you go with my hosting or you go with an example like WP Tonic, there are packages where you can buy, blocks of time, or you can actually get a whole, request for proposal to have an entire project done. So I want to make things as easy and as clear as possible to talk about. For the sake of this series, I'm showing you simple, easy, quick, and on a budget. If your use case is that you want something more involved, we are certainly here to answer that question. So that said, folks, have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the week. I just saw my wife in here grabbing an extension cord, so it looks like there's some yard work coming up. All right. Have yourself a wonderful day. I'll talk to you probably at the end of the week. Bye-bye.